Hey guys, and welcome to another Santa video. Actually, this is a secret Santa because if you look at the thumbnail, you'll see that we have a box unopened, and we're going to leave it up unopened until the very end of the video. At that time, we're going to open that up, and there is a secret surprise in there. So this is a secret Santa surprise. And this is also Thanksgiving week. So I'm going to show you some guns, and unusually, I have some post-war guns. Now, whenever I do one of these videos, I emphasize the fact that we saw a lot of guns pre-1946. So all the way up to 1945, and then I personally pretty much stop. I like to do the history of the wars, doesn't matter what war, but I tend to stop at 1945. However, there's a lot of very smart collectors out there who also collect some post-war guns. I just don't happen to know a lot about it. Lo and behold, because I don't pay much attention to them, somebody sent me a collection of Walthers that are all post-war. So let me just say a little bit about the post-war Walthers. Yes, they are very collectible. I don't know a whole lot about them, but I know some of you do. And so I wanted to get this video out and let you know these will be going on the website if you have any interest in the post-war guns. Let me go through it quickly because others who don't necessarily collect them are always saying, hey, I'm not going to buy a gun, but I appreciate the education. So let's go. So we're going by time. This one, actually, these two are from the 50s, and you'll see the Manurhin, or Manurhin. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it is in France, and it actually is in an industrialized zone within France. But let me go back in time a little bit because here's the background. Most of you know I've done a couple videos about the Walther factory at the end of the war. And we know that the GIs showed up in April of 1945, and they pretty much picked up a lot of guns that were in various stages of assembly. Some of them were fully assembled, and they got some engraved guns and some experimental guns. But they grabbed everything that was just sitting out, and then they left. They went on to continue through southern Germany. I've said before that the Zella-Mellis factory was in the Russian zone. So while the American Army liberated that zone, they had to move out pretty quickly because it was already preordained that the Russians would manage that section of Germany. So with the exit of the American troops, the Russian troops moved in. They took over the factory. They took whatever the Americans hadn't already taken. So they actually took the equipment. Some of it went to Germany, but some of it went to the Thalmann factory. Now, Ernst Thalmann was a leader of the communist movement before Hitler took power. So the two extremes, on one end were the communists who were trying to take over the democracy that was in Germany, and then the National Socialists were on the other side trying to take over. And of course the Nazis won that battle, and the communists, many of them, certainly the communist leaders, were rounded up. But after the war, Suhl and Zella-Mellis were in the Russian sector. And so much of the equipment and parts were moved to the Suhl factory, Thalmann factory. Using the former Walther machinery, they were able to manufacture guns out of East Germany. But it only lasted for a very, very short period of time, only a couple of years, because at that point, the Russians, of course, wanted their sphere of influence throughout the Soviet Union, the Eastern Bloc. And so they insisted that instead they buy the Makarov, which is similar to a PPK, and the Tokarev. So the East Germans selling German-designed guns pretty much went away, and that left it to West Germany to continue the legacy of the Walther family. So that brings us to this gun. This was the first attempt. So since the Russians took over the factory and the Walther family moved to the American sector, he was under house arrest for about a year, by the way, which wasn't, he had a beautiful home and I'm sure he didn't suffer a whole lot, but he was able to get the original blueprints out of the factory and had them with him. And he was able to do business out of his home. And one of the things he did is he licensed to Manurhin the ability for them to make the PP and PPK. So these guns do come up for sale from time to time. They were made in France, but they were made under German specifications, Walther specifications, under a licensing agreement. Of course, if you watch my channel, you're very aware that these are the the standard boxes that you've been seeing where I've been doing the educational videos. This is the bow tie label pre-war. Actually, in the 30s, they hand labeled them, and then they improved by using the green label, which is printed. The serial numbers are printed. But that's what the box looks like in the pre-war and wartime. And then the post-war boxes are distinct. I call them alligator skin boxes, and you can see it real apparent there. Here, the Manurhin box is just more of a brown box. This is what the manual looked like, and you can see the Manurhin logo. And this is a PPK, just so you can see very clearly that it was made in France. There's the label there. This is actually the area of France where it was made. This is made in .22 caliber long rifle. We'll take a look at the magazine. Has the button. Those of you who study magazines, they do have the button. Some of them will say made in France, right where the, oh, there it is. Doesn't say made in France, but you see France right there. And then, just so everybody is loud and clear, Walther wanted to protect their property made under a licensing agreement. By the way, the East Germans did not have licensing permission to produce the guns. They were basically putting them together from leftover parts, and then the Russians decided to switch over to the Makarov and the Tokarov. But this was a licensing agreement with Walther and the Manurhin factory. So this was made in France. It comes with it actually came with a manual, a cleaning rod, one's not here, a spare mag, and then often they would have the target, what I call the test target. That's not in here, but I think it'll be in the next box. Maybe not, let's see. This is the next one. Again, now you see a little different. We have the Walther banner logo, so you know it's a Walther product, but it's made in the Manurhin factory. This is also .22 caliber PPK. And this one has a beautiful nickel finish. Great looking gun. The white grips. Now, some of you would say, wow, those white grips, that's worth a lot of money, because I could put that on a wartime gun presentation. And yeah, the white grip, original World War II white grip, would be worth almost $1,000, but held on, it's not one piece. The post-war grips were two-piece. That's another way you can tell. If you say, how can I tell if my gun is wartime or post-war? It'll have the PPK has a two-piece grip. And then also it'll say right on here, made in France. That's a clue. And it does have the Walther banner, but this is in .22 caliber and comes with a nickel finish. There you go, there's the button on the magazine as well. No manual on this one, but it did come with some cool advertising material. These are all coming to me on consignment, by the way. I'm not sure on prices, but generally the prices of these post-war guns in the original box are about half the price, sometimes less than half the price of a wartime or pre-war PP or PPK. There's an engraved PPK, .22 caliber. You see different variations. There's the box mag. Remember the box mag at the bottom? So it just shows the different variations that they were selling. Also, here's the Manurhin ad. You can see what they sold for originally. They did make them in .32 caliber, and I believe they made them in 9mm as well. And then this is an ad for the Walther HP or P38 in 9mm. That was $75, by the way. This is some of the early ads. And you could even order a cannon. Wouldn't you like that? Have that in your backyard. Every night at sunset, you could set off your cannon. I'm sure the neighbors would all appreciate it. So now we get to the ones that are probably even more collectible. For some reason, the Manurhin ones, the prices stay fairly cheap. Although I know Ian likes French guns, so I'm sure he wants at least one or two of these. That's Ian McCullum from Forgotten Weapons. If you don't watch his channel, he likes French guns. So he would be one of the ones that would want to pick up one of these. But these are all, so you can see right here, it says in the Ulm factory. Ulm is post-war. So if it says Ulm on the slide, then it's definitely post-war. Here's what the manual looks like and the cleaning rod. Okay, so you get a idea of that. This is a PPK, and it says right on here, made in West Germany. And if you look at the slide legend, first of all, you do see an Eagle N. I have people say, I'm pretty sure it's wartime, and I'll say, well, look at the legend. I just wiped it off for you because these things pick up fingerprints pretty readily. I should have my gloves on, but I'll just be real careful. People, I'll say, it says right on here it was made in Ulm, and they go, well, I'm pretty sure it's wartime. If it was made in the Ulm factory, it's post-war. There was no Ulm factory until the 1950s. He bought a piece of land in Ulm and built the factory, and that had happened in the late 50s. The Manurhin guns, by the way, started in 1952, went through the 50s. They continue to make guns into the 60s, but the Ulm factory guns started in about 59, and then it continues today. They still make guns there in the Ulm factory. So that Eagle N proof is a post-war proof. It's not a Nazi eagle, though. It is a West German eagle, so don't be confused just because that's there. And another clue would be if it says made in West Germany, obviously it's not wartime. Two-piece grip. Interesting, the brown grip is not far from the wartime brown grip. And then another proof that you want to see is what this is the firing proof, which is a Eagle N, but there's also an antler. People will say it has a proof, and I don't know what it is. It looks like I don't know, I've heard all kinds of things, a tree branch. That is actually that's the antler proof. And many of you have written to me and said, what year was my gun made? And I say, look in the injection port, the year is right there. In this case, it is 1968. Now, this was shipped to the United States, and as early as 68, you can see that Inner Arms was the exclusive distributor of the Walther products. There's another proof mark and the serial number, and it goes with this box. So the rest of these are all going to be pretty much the same. There'll be a few variations that I'm going to point out, but generally these are all new in the box guns. The collector evidently liked 22 caliber. Many are in 22. I didn't point that out, but on this one you can see it is 9mm Kurtz or short. And that's the same caliber they used in the pre-war era as well. This next one is a PP. Let's take a quick look again. Ulm factory, alligator box, and it is numbered, you see the serial number to the gun is right here. And of course you look, immediately you can see this is a Walther PP just because of the size. And these are all black. These look pretty much the same as the pre-war, the pre-46 guns look exactly like this. But again, how can I tell? This is minutia, but the Walther banner is slightly smaller. If you have one of each, you could hold them side by side. What the heck, let's do it. Here's something you might be learning for the first time. See this is post-war. On my left-hand side, you can see the banner, and this banner is slightly larger. Also, if you look at the legend, you do see Zella Mellis and 7.65. Now, this one, how can I tell? Well, smaller banner, made in West Germany. There's the proof mark. There's the antler. When was it made? I see a 68. And this was distributed through Inner Arms, so it came to the United States. Some people will drop the value a little bit because of the Inner Arms marking, but it's factory original, and it was put on there. I believe that was put on by the factory. Yeah, it's blued over. So my guess was that this was all original, the way it left the factory, and then distributed through Inner Arms. And they would import hundreds of guns at a time and sell them in the United States, which was by far their biggest market. You do see the 7.65 caliber. All right, let's look at another variation. Okay, we're back to another PPK from the Ulm factory. You do see this one is Doral. Now I have a collector out there who I know as soon as they see this video is going to jump all over it. He happens to be one of our sponsors, so he'll get a quick look at this and say, I'll take it. The only downside is the label. We're missing the serial number. Still, it is original box, and it does say Doral, which is very, very rare. So this is a rare gun, and I think I mentioned in an earlier video, actually the 7.65 was one of the rarer of calibers. People tend to like the 22 and the 9mm better, but they did make them in 7.65. In picking it up, I can tell right away because it's a little bit lighter. Has a similar brown two-piece. You can't see the part. It's so well made, but I can see it right at the top that it is a two-piece grip. There you're getting familiar with the proof mark. West Germany, 60 degrees safety. And you can see the little line when I talk about Doral guns. That's where the steel barrel meets the aluminum frame. That line is there. This one was made in 65. There is no inner arms mark, which makes this a little more valuable because, again, just because there's nothing wrong with inner arms, but some collectors like it in this format. So this was not distributed through inner arms, maybe bought privately from somebody in Germany or another country. My brother-in-law was stationed in Germany for a short period of time, working for the government. And he, while he was over there, he bought several boxes of PPs and PPKs and brought them back into the United States when it was a lot easier just to bring them in as part of your luggage. These two are exactly the same as ones I've previously shown you, but this one is the only one, so I should point out. It comes, the test target is numbered to the gun. It's also dated. So we see the test target was from 98, so this is a little bit later. And that's where they shot it. And you see that one, he was a little bit off. Maybe his hands were shaking when he did that. Okay, next we go to the black plastic cases. I like the classic look, and many of you do. You know, if you collect cars, I love the classic Mustang or the classic Corvette. But that doesn't mean that the later Mustangs or Corvettes are less collectible. I just like that classic look. They went to plastic, which for them was an improvement. For me, not so much, but it definitely holds up better. So this one is a Walther PP Super. Now, the Super, I'll show it to you, is just a little better made gun, a little more sturdy. It's a little bit bigger than it's actually a cross between a P38 and a PP. It's a little bit bigger than the PP, but a little smaller than the P38. This comes by a 9x18, which is a special caliber. I guess they like developing their own calibers. If you take a look over here, you can see the larger bullet is 9mm. The smaller bullet is 9x18, which we actually, if you don't have the ammo and you want a gun like this, I have 5 boxes of ammo that came with it. 9x19, so it's a little bit bigger than the 9mm Kurtz short, but a little bit smaller than the 9mm Luger. You can see on the ejection port, you can see the antler proof, you can see the Eagle N proof, and then also this one was made in 76. Two-piece grip. I don't know much about these, but it does come with a spare magazine. A little Allen wrench, not sure what you do with that, but Allen wrench, and this is the extent of the manual that comes with the PP Super. So this one is an interesting variation that I wanted to show you. You can see it's a much more modern box. In 1986, they curtailed the import laws. You could no longer import PPKs. So Walther found, again, Walther, very clever people working there and clever marketers. Actually, I see a date right here. So this is in 95. So after 86, one of the ways they got around it is they licensed someone to make these. It might have been Smith & Wesson. Don't quote me on that, but you can put in your comments. I know Smith & Wesson was licensed to make these at one point. and you can see here it's made in the USA. And again, this is the same size as the original Walther PPK, which was always very popular and even made more popular post-war by James Bond, who always used a Walther PPK. This one comes in 9mm. They have the Ulm factory on here, but it's licensed to, I believe, Smith & Wesson, was made in the United States. Now, these actually sell for less. It's still distributed by Interarms. Yeah, I'm from the United States, so I'm just going to say that people who collect these will say, I don't want the US-made guns. I want one made in Germany. That may be factual. I don't own these, and I never shot these. I don't shoot the post-war guns. I imagine some of you would love to comment. If you have a US-made, you can comment, are they really not as good? Are they the same? I suspect they're made to the exact same standards as the German-made guns. People say, I'm looking for a post-war gun, but I don't want one made in the United States. I want one made in Germany because they are fine craftsmen, which they are, and I only want a gun from Germany. Now, one interesting fact about stating that, and let's go back to these, as it turns out, even though Manurhin guns were made in the 50s, they continued to make parts and complete guns, ship them to Germany, and Germany would stamp, well, they would put them together in Germany, stamp made in Germany, and put them in these boxes. So the mystique of made in Germany has lasted through the decades, when in fact many of the parts were made in Manurhin, shipped to Ulm, put together, finished, and then distributed as made in Germany. It's very complicated. I can't tell you exactly where these were made, but I do have this book. We do sell this book. Very well done. It was, the author is Dieter Marschall, who is a German collector and actually was the historian for the Walther factory. This much of the book I read and enjoy. And then this half of the book, you can see right here, licensed the PPKS, licensed US production. This is all post-war guns. So there's a lot of information about post-war guns in here. And so if you want to know more detail about what was made where, when, this is the book to get. We sell it on the site for just over $50 plus shipping. If you happen to be a sponsor of our channel, also known as a Patreon, a patron of our channel, we can sell you one for half price. Just send us a check for $25 and we'll mail one out to you. And that's just as a thank you for being a supporter of our channel. Again, that's for the Patreon members only. If you don't know what that's about, check in the description. You'll see a link at the bottom of the description that takes you right to the Patreon channel. You can see there's post-war. That's a post-war. See the smaller banner, and I guarantee that says Ulm. But then we get to the wartime variations they have. There's an RZM. That's what I'm familiar with. There's an RZM. Hey, look at that. There's a Tyrolean. We have a video about the Tyrolean Shooter Prize. So lots of really good, a party leader with a front, that's the radon front sight. Just really cool stuff. Oh, wait, did you see what I just saw? NSKK. Loving it. So if you want the book, get in contact with us. Okay, in talking about the book, I just mentioned the PPKS. Remember, PPKs could not be imported because of the barrel length and the length of the frame. So one way they got around that is they licensed to Smith & Wesson to produce them in the United States. There was no restriction. If it was made in the United States, you just could no longer import them. Aren't you glad they kept us safe by not allowing them to import the PPK? But again, there's one of the targets numbered to the gun. Let's see if this guy was a better shot. Well, he's in the circle this time, but he did go a little high, and actually that's at 12 o'clock, but look at that grouping. Very, very nice. So this is, I don't see a date on this one, but that's the original target. And this is the PPKS. So what they did is they took a PPK and they extended the frame a little bit. It's only about a half an inch longer, again, making America safe by requiring that they make the frame a half an inch longer, or you can make the barrel a half an inch longer. But says made in Germany. Maybe it was made in Manurhin and put together in Germany, but it's not a US made gun. And you do see it was distributed by Inner Arms. There's no date on this one, but this is likely, well, it would have to be after 86, because that's when the restrictions came out, so they changed the specification of the gun. Okay, that pile of guns, that's the most post-war guns I've ever had at one time in this building. I usually only get one or two at a time. They will be hitting the website soon, and if you're interested, just let us know, and or go to the website. Now I have my Secret Santa right in here. But before I move on, I always like to do some accessories. Remember I said we have viewers from throughout Europe and throughout the world. The Aussies log in, New Zealand, subscribe. So I do have an accessory that you might want to consider. This has a Waffen stamp on the back. There's also something here which looks like a maker mark. I'll have to get a magnifying glass. But this is an original case for a ZF41 scope. So this scope, I believe this would be original leather. Often you get reproduction leather, but from the stitching and everything, this looks like original leather lens protectors. And the optics on this are, you look in backwards and you can actually see it better. Yeah, the optics, it's a little bit cloudy, but the reticle is good. So this would go on a G43 or a K43. So we will either put this on a gun or keep it together and sell it like this. And again, for our outside the United States people, that's a cool accessory that came in this week. I don't think I've gotten the scopes before, but I've never gotten a scope in the case. So this is a nice item. Some of you think this is a radiator. Actually, it is a rifle rack. That's what we use it for. This is an MG34. Again, patent date would be 34, but they made these a lot in the 40s for World War II. It was often referred to as Hitler's buzzsaw. And if you ever see one, shot in a war movie, it does sound, zzz, it just sounds like a buzzsaw. And so I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about it because I don't know a whole lot about it, other than the fact that this is in semi-auto. Now, we have sold them as dummies, and we also have sold them in semi-auto. I have to tell you, this is like a barbell. This thing has to be 50 pounds. It's considered a light machine gun, but this is as heavy as I would want to carry. You do see the strongest, burliest German soldier with one of these up on his shoulder. If I had a pad and kept it up on my shoulder, maybe I could carry it. It does come with the bipod. It snaps on here. You just push the button, and they snap right off and go in place. And obviously, to be fired in the prone position is a lot easier. You couldn't hold this and fire it unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger. And this looks familiar, but this is the sight. You're going to see another. This one, it does slide up and down, but I'm not sure. I think it's supposed to, I don't know. I don't know if that's working right or not. But you do see some of the markings on there, the serial number, the maker mark, which is a 3-letter code. And then on this side, you can see the Nazi Eagle proof. And then the manufacturing company that took it from full auto and made it into semi-auto. Most likely, I'm amazed at how many of these were brought back. If you just felt the weight of this thing. I'm amazed how many were brought back by GIs. You wouldn't carry it in your duffel bag, so they must have shipped them back. And then, of course, when the laws changed and said you couldn't have an unregistered machine gun, with a manufacturing, my understanding is if you have a manufacturing license, you can take it from full auto down to semi-auto. This will be available on the website. For those of you who have always been looking for a semi-auto MG34, this is a really nice example. And it even comes with, the way it doesn't have a magazine, it uses a belt. and it shoots 8mm. This is a belt where it is belt-fed machine gun. Okay, you ready for the big surprise? Here's a clue. What's this look like? This is a paratrooper badge for a German soldier. So this clearly would have been the badge that would be given to a paratrooper, and that's what it says right here. That's German for paratrooper, I'm not sure what. But this is an original case and an original paratrooper badge, which is available. And Europeans can certainly buy this. And if we open this up, ta-da! Some of you will recognize it right away, but let me pull it out. Now, you're probably thinking this is too good to be true. This is an FG42, but it is a replica. If you watch Ian's channel, you know that there's a manufacturer, SMG, makes these, and he has shown them on his channel. He fires them quite a bit. In fact, we have a clip of him shooting it standing up. He gives a lot of information. He obviously loves these guns. They were made by SMG. In fact, he's still making them, but there is I'm told it's 8 months to a year long wait to get one. We had a customer who just brought it in this week and walked in and said, hey, are you interested? You can sell it for me. They originally came in 8mm. This one comes in 308, and Ian does a review on both. I don't know what the advantages or disadvantages are, but the 308 magazines are easier to find, so that is one advantage. The original magazines are impossible to find. So this comes in 308, and it comes with a video on how to use it, how to take it apart. FG42. It says please watch. So I guess if you buy it, you better watch it. And FG42, it was developed for the paratroopers, thus the badge. It was developed for the paratroopers as a really a light machine gun. I mentioned that thing. I can barely hold it with one hand. This is exceptionally much lighter than that. I mean, it's got to be less than half the weight. That's easily 40 pounds to 45 pounds. This is 20 pounds or less. It has a couple of interesting features. As you can see, it is like brand new. One thing that's unique, let's start at this end, is the muzzle brake. Ian shows, well, he shoots it. He actually shoots it in competition. He compares it to the BAR and the Garand, and he basically says this is a rifle that can be used as a machine gun. He likes it as a rifle, but obviously it makes a phenomenal machine gun. So this muzzle brake is unique, and I remember I mentioned this looks similar. This is made exactly the same standards and specifications as the original FG42. Now, the original one will sell for well over $100,000. I'm not sure the current pricing, but somebody will comment. I'm sure they're well over $100,000. This is a fraction of that, but still an expensive piece of equipment. This muzzle brake keeps the machine gun from rising as you, he just says it really helps to stabilize it. He loves that feature. It has a bipod feature, just like the previous machine gun we looked at. Stays in place, it swivels a little bit. There is a bayonet that goes right here, which is missing, and I'll have to ask the man who brought it over. It was manufactured with the bayonet, and so I'll have to see if he has that someplace else, because I looked through all the cushions, and the case is the case is worth the price of the gun. Then you can see how it feeds. That's the front sight. This is a pop-up rear sight. Let's take a look at the markings. That factory code is Krieghoff. Krieghoff did make these. They got a contract from the Luftwaffe to make these, and those are Krieghoff proofs. They're exceptional Krieghoff proofs. I just happen to have a Krieghoff magazine This is upside down, so let's do it right side up. There you see the that's the Krieghoff, that's the original Krieghoff proof, which is an Eagle 2 proof. And you can see right here, that's a similar proof. That's just the Eagle proof, but that is a real, that is identical to an actual proof, and this is identical to this proof. Little bit off, and you can see then the serial number. I guess he's made 213, but I don't know that for a fact. One other thing before we pop in the magazine. This. If you saw the Johnson rifle, it almost has like a shock absorber. So again, Ian says they're great to shoot. This really helps with the recoil, and the muzzle brake helps with it not staying in control. You can hold it steady. He likes it. He's standing up. He's shooting it. It holds steady. It makes a great rifle. It makes an even better full auto machine gun. Now, of course, this is also in semi-automatic, and the magazine will pop in pretty easily. And so like a Bren gun, and you can see how the shells pop out to the right. But if you know a Bren gun, it has a side mounted. And I believe that makes it easier when they hit the ground. The magazine's not resting on the ground, which causes some malfunctioning or, like denting of the magazine. Hurts with the feet of the magazine. So there's a bunch of other features about this that I don't even know. I've actually never held one before, never imagined I'd get one. And here it is. It showed up, as I said. The same guy that brought this MG34 also brought this in, and we were just pleased as punch to get both of them. As always, I hope you learned something today. I did in learning about the post-war guns. I still prefer the World War II items, but for some of you, affordability and durability, they're fantastic guns, and they do continue to go up in value. Of course, the FG42 and the MG34, if you like semi-automatic, you will be the hit of the range. In fact, you will be the only person on your block to have one of those. You might want to show it to all your friends and family. And I mentioned the book. It is available on our website. You can buy it right off of the website. And if you're a Patreon, let us know. You can have it for about half price. Thanks for watching. If you want information about the Patreon program, again, go to the description, and right at the bottom there will be a link. Make sure you like and subscribe and continue watching our channel. I wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving, and stay tuned because we have a couple other videos coming out just within the next week or so.